It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a long video, I'm sure. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jay, and I'd like to welcome you guys to Low Code, where code is optional, but results are not. Before I start this video, I just want to say that today is Father's Day. Not that that's relevant to what I'm about to say, but I don't have a personal channel yet, and I just felt like doing some therapy on video. So I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, always just remember to treasure your loved ones and basically just tell them that you love them, tell them that you appreciate them and all that because you never know. Life is short. Um, I just wanted to get that out there. But ladies and gentlemen, today you're going to learn how to build your first website with Nordcraft. What I'm going to do for this new series, I think I'm going to call it Nordcraft Basics, which is where we build things kind of from scratch. And I will sort of just let you know my thought process why I'm doing things and just explain as I go along. So, yeah, so today you're going to be learning how to build this landing page here. This, I don't even know what it is. What is this? This SaaS landing page. Yes, you learned how to build that. Now, I'm not going to build the entire thing in this video. If you actually do like this content and you want to see more of this type of video, and I'll actually build the rest of this, then let me know. Show love and support in the comments. And we're just going to be building the sort of, what do you even call this, hero sort of section, basically what you would see above the fold, above the uh whatever it's called before you actually have to start scrolling above the fold. I'm pretty sure that's what that's called. I don't really remember. um wait, ladies and gentlemen, wait, I bought some stuff. I forgot. I have a lot of things in front of me actually that I'm definitely gonna get confused as I do this video, but um I just pressed this shortcut on my, okay, that's gonna be a problem. Damn, we're already having technical difficulties. So I'm gonna just press the button instead. But I bought this little tablet thing so that I can draw for you guys and we can outline things and I can explain what's going on. Oh, it's gonna be so fun. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. You can see that, right? Yeah, cool. All right. So, um, let's go ahead and get started. I have a brand new Nordcraft project here. All I did was remove the, or I just changed the name to Nordcraft Basics, as you can see up here. That's all I did. Otherwise, we have the blank project template that comes when you go to create a new project. So, since it's going to be interesting, it's going to be a long video, I'm sure.
2 hours later.
But I'm going to explain everything that I have going on. So, when I'm building a project, what I like is to have a sort of, well, I think most people actually do this when they're building applications, but you have some sort of app provider. Now, this app provider would provide basically all the details that are needed to run the application or that are needed for the application. And also it might include things like your theme, like what the background color is, what your text color is, what your font is, things of that nature. So I do the same approach here in Nordcraft. So the first component pretty much that I always have in Nordcraft is app provider. Now, my naming convention for Nordcraft is I I say what the component is for, and then I'll have an underscore so that they're all, because everything in here is sorted alphabetically. So like if I want to see everything to do with, like, I'll do like app underscore. So like for this, I'm gonna do app provider, right? So I would name things like this with this first underscore being whatever the component is for. So like this would be for the entire app. I might have one like for UI that might be like a card or something like that. So you see, I typically have what it's for and then underscore. And then I'm really just gonna be talking here, just let you know my naming convention. is if it's a lowercase, if the words start with a lowercase letter, then they cannot be used by themselves, meaning like they are like a part of a bigger component, right? So the how do I explain this? Um, what I'll do is say I had a card, right? I would typically have a card base, and in that base will be literally just like the padding for the card. It'll be the border radius. It'll be whatever the default card color is. So I'll just actually show you. So I'll do UI and then card and then base. So this is what I was kind of saying is that if I had just base here, that means with a lowercase b, for my naming convention, how I built my project is that this means it is not something to actually be used, that it is part of a bigger sort of component. But if I do capital B, then I know that this is something that I can use by itself, right? And then like card with a lowercase c like this means that it's part of something else. But if it was a capital C, then that means that I can use this by itself. Like I built it to be used by itself. So I'll just show an example of that. So I have card and then dash base. Now I'm kind of viewing these underscores as folders. It's like if it was like in a file system, I would go UI, then card, then base. But it gets kind of annoying when you go to search for components to have to remember to do the underscore, and the dash is just quicker. So really, in a perfect world, I would like it to be like this. So then I'm using each underscore as like a folder, and then but it's just a lot easier to type something like this because I typically won't even use this part right here. I'll just search whatever it is, like card, and then it's a lot easier to type that than that, just in my opinion. I'm just really rambling here. Oh my god, but I love it. All right, so we'd have a card base, and like say like literally this is just what would have things like my padding. Like I'll do one rem. I'll do one rem. Oh, I didn't press enter on that one. And then we'll say like it has like a border radius of one rem, and the default color is white. And then just inside of this, I will just do a slot, just like so. And then say now I want it to create like a basic card. That would be card with a capital C. And then here I would just use that card base. And now I can put whatever I want in this card, so on and so forth. So that's my naming conventions and how you will see me sort of name components and things of that nature. So I'll probably keep the card base, but I'll get rid of the card. Okay. So like I was saying, we're going to create the app provider. And what I typically do is I'll change this div to main because that just signifies like the main part of your application. It's just for like HTML semantics or whatever the word is. And then in here, I will just provide a slot. I'm going to set this main element to be a minimum height of 100%. And here's where you can apply like your background color. I think for this, yeah, it's black. So we will do black for the background and then white for the text. Okay. Now, in an application, you might have different types of pages, I like to call them. Like, for example, we have ones like public, which are ones like your blog, your about, your contact page that you want anyone to have access to. And then I'll do another one like protected. And this is might be like where I want you to be authenticated, like in things for like a dashboard. So I might um, have a component template for that that would just check check if there's a user for every single screen of the application. So that's typically the components that I have next. Now, if I'm not building something like a dashboard or a SaaS, project or something like that, then I won't typically have protected pages. But for what I know of this project thus far, we're going to just have public pages. So again, following my naming convention for that, I would do app and then public page. And then in here, we're just going to get rid of this div because we don't need it, but we're still going to get that same app provider. And we're going to add a slot so that we can put anything in this. So now every single public page will now, instead of this, let's get rid of that, will now have the public page at the as the outermost element. So now everything is going to have that black background. And if I throw in some text here, we're going to see that by default, it is now white. Okay, so following that, I typically then have a container component, and that's what I will use to keep things at a certain max width in the application. So you can imagine as well, like if I have like different sizes for these containers, can't really find a good example here. Okay, for like this one, for example, we can see how press the right button. Oh, I forgot I can't do that. Damn, man. There we go. All right. We can see how this one is way out here. That's right line. Way out here. But then this one is kind of pushed in a little bit more compared. So this is what would manage all of those sizes like that. How about this not work? There we go. I'm on the wrong thing. God, it's so confusing. Okay. So let's go ahead and create a new component. This I usually call UI container, and it will be a div with a slot in it. And in styling, I'm going to set the max or the width of this to 100%. I'm going to set the max width. Now, this is what would be the absolute max that my application content will go. So the width for this is 1408. So what we can do is we can just open a calendar and do in the calendar calculator, do 1408 divided by 16 to get the rem, and there's 88. So for max width, I will put 88 rem, and then we will come to the margin. God, I do not remember what that is. Here, there we go. And on the left side, we're going to do auto. And on the right side, we're also going to do auto so that it will center itself. And I think I add padding on the left and right side of 1 rem. So what this container is just going to do is that it's going to take up the entire width of our application, right? But when it's smaller than this, it'll take up 100% of the screen, but it'll still have like the padding so that the content isn't touching the actual like end of the screen, basically. Gosh, this is interesting. Okay. So I can show you that here is if I press forward to make the canvas bigger, you'll see then that it's only getting that wide. So the content will not go outside of this size. All right. Anything else we will need? I don't think so. That's all I know for right now. So we'll just keep it going. Okay. Oh, one more. When we have sections, like say like this is like the hero section or the header section, whatever it's called, and then this might be like something like here about me. When we have these different sections, you typically have like some sort of padding in between them, like this gap of space here. So what I would do is that I would create a section component that would be UI underscore and then section. And this div here, I'm going to change this to a section. And then in here, we'll already have the UI container. and it'll have another slot here so that we can pass things through it. And then this section is going to have padding on the horizontal, no, on the vertical padding, of maybe like 6 rem. So that means every section, every time we use this section component, is already going to have 8 rem, right? Or 6 rem, whatever it was, 6 rem on the top and bottom for padding. So we'll see here now, I might use that, and then I can have like an H1 or something like that. And now you're to see that it already has the padding in it. It already has the container, so the content is not going to go outside of this size. So when we open our actual application, and I might view this on mobile, how do I change this to mobile again? Oh, there we go. You can see that that's everything that the container is doing for us. So with that now, I'm just going to delete that because that was just a little demonstration. I think we're not ready to get building here. And now we can break this down section by section. Um, let's see how I might want to compose this. So if I were to build this website, which I am going to be doing today, how I'm going to break this down is typically like you always have your navigation. So this thing up here, this whole section right there, I'm going to create first, and we're going to create this navigation, and we're going to actually put this probably, I'm thinking about where we want to put this. If we're just going to be building this page, I would probably put this in the app provider so that it is on every single page. Um, so that'll be the first sort of section we build, and then yeah, I think that's all. Let's just get into it. For that, so we're going to build a nav bar. So for components here, I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to call it UI underscore nav bar. And I will remove this div. I can get our section one. And one thing you're going, I can speak. One thing you're going to notice is that the padding on this nav bar is not as wide as it would be for, like, say things like sections. So what we could do is we can just change the padding just for the nav bar right here by selecting the UI section and then changing the padding to like 1 rem or something like that. That is the wrong place. 1 rem. There we go. Okay. So we can see that if I was to now break this down even further here, I would see that we have like this sort of box right here. And then we have that other box that I can't get to. This is difficult with these, this box over here. So we're going to, so I will build it out as such. So in this section here, we're to first get, well, first we're going to create a div so that we can space the content out this way. Because if I just try to do that here, it won't work because this would only be affecting the section, not the actual container inside the section. So if I try to put my styles on the section, I'll just show you if you want to see an example of it. Let's see, nav bar. So if I have this one div, I'll do 2 divs actually. Do 2 divs. And what I wanted to do is that I wanted them to be spaced apart like this. Then you'll see if I try to come to the section and try to put it into row and to space the content out, we'll see that the content has not changed because the thing we are affecting would be the section, not the container, which is what we need to change here to be able to set that styling up. So first thing I would do, I don't know why I got rid of that div if I needed one of them, is that we are going to add a div. And now this is where we will apply our styling. So I want it to be in a row. I want it to be spaced out in the center. So I just double clicked that center one there. And then now you will see that inside of this, if we have two divs, I'm not sure how well you see this, but you see we have one div that's way over here in this corner. And then we have another div that's way over here in this corner. So that's why we had to add that. Now, actually, that I'm talking about that, I just remembered another component that I typically have, and that is called content. And this component, what I use it for would be just to space out things in the layout. So like all this right here, this small text to this big text, this would just be in content, and content would then like space this out automatically to whatever the standard is for the website we're or the application we're building. So let me show you how to do that real quick. We'll add another component. It'll be UI underscore content. And in here, we're just going to add a slot. And literally all I'm going to do is I'm going to set the spacing here to 1 rem. So you're going to see me use UI content pretty much everywhere instead of just a regular div. Okay. So yeah, go back. We're going to have the two divs, one for the left side. You kind of already see it actually if you go and hover this part in Figma. Again, if I didn't say already, the link for this will be in the description. But we'll see that already kind of shows like, hey, like what? Like here's our nav bar, right? And in the nav bar, we have this one box on the left and we have this one box on the right. So that's exactly the same thing that we're actually building here. Okay. Uh, so in here we have the logo. So what I'll do is actually I'll just show you exactly what I was talking about. In here, I'm gonna have two more UI content in place of these divs. And let's say how I want to do this. I think I want to have a link, and then I think I'm just gonna copy this as an SVG. I think I can just copy as SVG, and then in this A tag, I should be able to paste that. Yeah, there we go. We can get rid of this link here, and then I'll create this SVG as a component. So I'll just name it like SVG, and then whatever this name is, we could just say like something like logo. Boom. So like at any time, if we wanted to change this SVG or make changes to it, we just have to come here and it will change everywhere in our application. So we have that. Now I'm going to have I was going to have another UI content, but for navigation items, you do want to wrap that in a nav like so. And then in here, I could have my UI content. And for this UI content up here, I'm just going to set this to row and in the center like so. All right. So now we can add all our nav links. Now, um, for this, I will pretty much always create a variables that has all of our nav links that we're going to be going to have in the application, just so I have just one simple place to edit them. So we can see that the nav links that we have is just features, pricing, FAQ, and downloads. So what I would do is I would create a variable, and you can do this however you want. These are also sorted alphabetically. So for things that are static and kind of want to stay at the top, I will do a underscore and then something like nav underscore links in all caps. And then this is where I will put all our navigation items. So in the formula editor builder thing here that we have here in Nordcraft, we will build our all the links, or we'll put all the links for our navigation in here. So for that, we're going to do an array. Then we're going to do object. And now this will be every sort of key, every, what am I trying to say? Everything we need for a particular link. So that'll be things like the label, like what the name of it is, and then just the URL. So in key here, I will have like label. I will add another one for URL. And then this is where we'd go like, okay, features. And I would just think this is a section on the page instead of an actual page. This is a like a one page application, whatever I can speak, whatever you want to call it. So I would assume that it's going to a specific section, not an actual screen. So I'm going to do hashtag features so that I can send it to go to that section of the page when you click on them. All right, so we will go and add the other ones. So pricing, and then pricing like so. We have FAQ, so FAQ and hashtag FAQ. And lastly, downloads, so hashtag downloads. So now, whenever we have to change our navigation links, I will go and do that over here in this variable. Okay, so now what I want to do is in this UI content in the nav, I want to add a link. And in here, I just want to change the default colors. We're just going to come here and remove that. I don't think I pressed enter on that. There we go. And then now we can repeat this link tag for nav links. So now you see we're to have 4 of them because in nav links we had 4. So it's repeating a link for each one of those. And then in here for the href, we just want to set that to item and URL. And then the link here text, we want to set that via the functions there to item and label. So now you see we have features, we have pricing, we have FAQ and downloads. So then now lastly for this UI content, I just want to say to put that in a row. And then the spacing between this looks like it's 48 pixels, which is 3 rem, I believe. So we will do 3 rem here. If I haven't said already, to calculate rem, it is the pixels is the pixel size divided by 16. So the pixel size here in Figma was 48. So 48 divided by 16 is 3. So it is 3 rem. If you don't know why we use rem, I think I have a video where I kind of went over why I do or why we use rem pretty much everywhere. I could be wrong on that, but I've just been using rem everywhere. Uh, Also, we can see now if we just style these, we want the text to be uppercase and bold. So here in the link here, I would say the what are we doing? What are we doing? The weight. We're gonna do, I think, yeah, semi bold, and then to change the, what is it called? Letter transform, whatever it is. We might have to add some custom CSS here, so we can just come over here and press enter at the end of that. And I think it is text transform, and it would be uppercase for that. And yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. And I just realized I think I made these nav links black. I might want to set this to inherit. Let's see if this nav bar is actually white on the in the application. So nav bar. Yeah, okay, yeah. So the links are white. All right. So the links are white. All right. Let's continue building the nav bar. Now, I see I have bigger spacing between the logo and the text here, and this looks like I'm assuming it's going to be the same 3. So this UI content here, I would change this to 3 rem. Let's see what else here. I think we're done now with that left side. So now we can build this right side, and we have a button. And it looks like I'm not sure if this is. I'm assuming these are part of one button. They're spaced out, but I would assume they're part of one button. So if that's the case here, why don't we build a button component? And how I'm thinking about building this button component is, if I break it down, is this is the component that we're going to create this entire thing. What I can do is have a button base, and that might be just this part right here. And then I would have maybe a UI button, which would be like my default button. And in that one, I will just combine this component I already have with this section on this side to have this arrow. Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you what I mean by that, but I hope that made sense. Okay. So for this right side, since we're not going to need UI content, I don't think we can delete that. Let's go ahead and create a new component, and I'm going to call it UI underscore button, and then base, just following my naming convention. And then for this, we're going to have a slot here so that we can pass in the text or whatever. And by default, we can add a text, and we can just call this like button. So what will happen here is that if nothing is passed to this slot, then this button text is going to show by default. But once something gets passed into slot, this will then disappear. So, and it looks like the padding on this button is 2 rem on these sides, and then I'll just do 1 rem on the top and bottom. So in button here, I will do 2 rem on these sides, 1 rem for top and bottom. And then it looks like this gray is going to be our, right? This will be one of the colors that we use often. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the hex value for this gray, and I will just go ahead and create a theme variable in here. So typically I would have in the style themes, whatever this is called. What is it called again? Yeah, themes, default here. I would add a group, and this would be the name brand, and this will have everything to do with the brand. So like, what do they call this? I'll set the name back, please. There we go. Secondary dark gray is what they called it. Secondary dark gray. So we can come here and add a color, then brand, secondary. I'll just do dark gray, and then I'll paste the hex value there like so. Make sure to have the hashtag at the beginning. Press enter, and now we have that color saved. So now I can come back over here into the button base, and for the background of this, you know what I just realized? I didn't even create this as a button. So I would just wrap this in button. And then what I do is I just come over here to the CSS panel and, oh, sorry, and do copy properties. And then on the button, I'll do paste properties. And then now we should be able to just get rid of that div like so. Okay. Yeah, now we can add that background button or background color, and it's the brand dark gray like that. And the text will be white, but let's see. I think that's all we need for this. Oh, we have to round it. It's rounded at 40 pixels. I'll just do 2.5 rem. So the button here for border radius, I'll do 2.5 rem. And then for width here, I can say just max or not. Is it max width? Max content? Yeah, max content. There we go. So that it'll only take up the size needed for just the actual button instead of trying to fill it like that. But we can always change it later if we wanted to. Damn it, I think I just backspaced too far there. Max content. And I got rid of the radius, 2.5 rem. There we go. Okay. For the text though, I do want that to be a little bit bolder. What did we use again? In gosh, I'm doing all the wrong things. In Navlinks, I think, bro, get rid of. Thank you. We can do semi bold like that, and then I think we also want to add that uppercase CSS like so. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So now we have our button base, and what I can then do now is create another component, and I can do UI like button like so. And then in here, I could have a content and then the base of the button. And then all I want to do is I just want to have this circle here and be able to pass in an icon. Actually, in button base, did I create a slot? Yeah, I did. Okay. So we're going to have that same slot here in button base so that we can pass it to it. And then text here again can just be something like button. Yep, that's it for button base. Then I will add the div, and I believe this was, what was the size of this again? I think I could just set this to be 100%. We can like have like an aspect ratio of 1, like so. And then we just have to change the content here for these to be in a row. Okay, maybe this wasn't the, I meant to do height. Yeah, there we go. Not width. All right. And then for this, we want to grab this blue color. It's called primary royal blue. I typically just call whatever my primary color is just primary. So again, like with the dark gray, we're going to go into our theme and I'm going to do brand and primary, and I will paste the blue hex code there. Now we have that saved in themes. Now in button, I can set the background color of that div to be brand primary and set the radius to 100% and just set the flex to the center and then just lastly pass in a slot like so. So now you see we have that blue button. Now the spacing between these is 8. So what I can do here is in this content, I can say 0.5 rem, which would be equal to 8 pixels. And then, yeah, now there's our button. Now you'll see here that I have 2 slots, and these slots are doing different things. One's for the base, the button base, and one is for whatever the icon is that we want to pass in. Right. Actually, speaking of icon, let's go ahead and just copy this, the SVG for this arrow right here. And I can paste that here and SV and then extract as component. I can do SVG down right arrow or like down. I don't think I do it like that. Could be wrong, but yeah, something like that. And then I'm just gonna set that to be 100% for width and height, or I guess max content for width. There we go. Now to make sure that this, whatever we pass into here is a certain size, I can wrap this slot in a div and set this to like 1 rem or something like that to control whatever this size is, which looks to be about right here, a little bit less, but do like 0.75 if we wanted to. Okay, so well, yeah. Now let's see if we can actually use this button in our nav bar. The nav bar, all we should have to do now is add this content right here. We should be able to do a button, and there we should have our button. Oh, that did not work. Oh God, wait a minute. I'm not sure what's going on with my little circle thing here with the arrow, but we'll figure that out in a little bit. But I think now we kind of got our nav bar built, right? So now to add this to every page, what we will do is we will go to the app provider, and right above this slot, we will add the nav bar, and I'll just make sure that it is above the slot. And then what we could also do, I'm not sure if this navigation bar scrolls with us, but if it did, all we'd have to do is in the nav bar here, we just have to set the position from relative to fixed and set the width to 100%. And then now this will scroll with us as we scroll the screen. But I'm not sure if that's actually how it works here, but we'll just leave it without it for now. Now on the home page, you can see now we have our navigation. And did I add the link here to go to the homepage? Yeah, okay, cool. Add that by default. Let's find out what's going on with this button here. Why? Well, for one, let's set this to max content. And then why, sir, do you not? Hmm, 16, I think. What if I set this to have a height of 3 rem? I think that will fix it, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And let's actually test this. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Let's actually change the text to get started. All we got to do is just, oh, shoot. I was talking about the slots. Sorry. We have to backtrack, but hey, that's what happens in development. We just keep reiterating. So we have two different slots here in the button, right? And they control different things. Like I was saying, one is for the text, one is for the SVG. So we actually want to name these just so we know what slot we're passing something into. So for slot here, this first one, I will typically do a star or an asterisk, sorry, asterisk. If it's required, I will typically do a asterisk and the name of it. So like this would be like button text, something like that. And then the slot here, this, well, for this component, this is required. So I can do like icon or SVG, something like that. But then now when we actually go to use it, to go back, by the way, I'm just pressing the back button. I go to use it now and I add something like a paragraph, and it's going to give us this error because default no longer exists. It's going to have us pick a specific slot. I can say the slot for this paragraph and attributes, I want it to be the button text. And then if I add the SVG, then it'll go to the SVG sections. Like if I just grab, like, say, our logo, SVG logo, and I set this slot to be the icon, you can see then that is trying to place our logo in there. Okay. So the text for this was get started. So I'm just going to add a text here, and that would be like something like get started. Now, for my typography elements, like my headings and my paragraphs, things like that, I will create components for every single one of those. Literally, my rule when I build in Nordcraft is if I see it more than once, I'm going to create a component for it. So, or in more than one place. I think you kind of get what I'm saying there. So what I'll do is I'll actually delete this paragraph and we'll get a new component. And that component will be UI underscore paragraph. I spelled that wrong. Paragraph. And then in here, we're going to get rid of this div. We're going to do paragraph. And then we're going to add a text like so. And, or sorry, not a text. We want to do a slot. So we can just wrap that in the slot. And we could just set this text to be like this is a paragraph. Why am I spelling it like that? By default, like so. Okay. Now where were we? I think I was adding the button text in the nav bar. Right. Yeah. So now I will use paragraph, and in here I will pass in the text. And again, the slot for this paragraph, we want to say is the button text. And then here we'll just say get started like so. Yes, sir. I think I want to change this to just button instead of button text. Something like that. All right. Looking good, looking good. All right, now we can start building this next section here. Let's see. So we're back here on the home page. And what we want to do is we want to use our section component like so. And I'm going to cheat a little bit here, but I'm just going to set this to be 100% view height of the screen. Now this is going to overshoot a little bit, but if we changed our nav bar to be fixed instead of relative, that's the wrong thing. Position, and then we do fixed and set the width to 100%. And then now back here, this will now cover the actual full screen because it's not counting the nav bar in the regular HTML flow. It's now kind of like its own floating thing. So yeah. Okay, let's continue on now. So now the section here, as we can see, it kind of has this grid action going on here. As you can see, like it's not gonna be a straight line, but we have like that, and then these are all like it's so messed up. These are all buttons. So it's sort of like this grid that we got going on. So that's exactly how I'm going to break down this section. Is I'm going to use grid, and I'm going to make each one of these kind of the same size like so. So to do that, I figure my buttons are here again. There we go. So to do that, now in this section, now typically I would have a grid component, but the thing is, as far as I'm seeing, if we're just building this top section here, I didn't use grid more than once. So following my rule, I won't create the grid component. Now, again, if you knew that you were going to build an entire site and use grid like in other places, then yeah, uh, do that. But I'm just doing this with the preface. I think that I'm building only this homepage here, or this top section here. So I'm not going to add a actual grid component, but we will add a div. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the gap here, and the gap between them looks to be 16, so that'll be 1 rem. So we'll set this to 1 rem. Then you see you can't currently in this version of Nordcraft, you cannot add grid here in the display. If you are on a future version, then you might see that. But currently there's no way to select grid there. So what we have to do here is come to the CSS panel and do display and grid like so. Now, what we can do is we can see that we have this same sort of repeating template where the gap for all the cards are the same. Like it's the same spacing throughout. So to get that, what we can do is we can do grid template columns, and then we would set the value for it to like 1.5 FR. No, it's not going to be right. I need like 2. But I think how big that is, like 2 FR to 1 FR. The FR just means fraction. So in this case, I will have one column that is 2 fractions of 3, which means that it would be the like 33 or 66% repeating. And then we will have one section, which would be 33% repeating for the other side. So we'll see that if I then add a div, add 2 divs in here, we can see that this first div is taking up this amount of space, while the second one is taking up this amount of space. And I'm not sure if that's really accurate to the design that we have here. I'm just guesstimating. Okay, so what we can have now is, this is why I create components the way I do, is that we can see that we're kind of using cards throughout, and these cards might follow the same rules. Like we can see that these two have the same um padding, and it's just a whole bunch of cards. But like if we just break it down, so like the basics of the default, it is just a card, right? So what we can do is, instead of using these divs, we can use our card base, and we would have, wait a minute, what am I doing here? This is supposed to be out here, I think. Yeah. And then we would just have these 2 card bases here. Right? Now we can change our card base component to fit these. If what is this is at, wait, what? On the left side, the padding, why is that more than, I'll just set it to like 1.5 rem. So in the card base here, I will set this to just 1.5 rem, like so. And then now we can start putting in the content for all of these. So in this first one here, I can use my UI content, and to get this, so we will use this UI content, you space out this section right here, these two sections in the card, and then we will have another UI content, and that'll be for this section of things here. So to build now this section, I can use another UI content. I don't know if you guys want me to draw this out for you. I'll do so. So what I'm thinking about this is just pretend this is a straight line. Um, I'm thinking I could have a. Why did I draw that like that? I don't know why I drew that like that, but I think I could have UI content for here and just have it like space out this area right there. And then, yeah, I think that's all. So I think we can grab this as a SVG. So we can just copy that as a SVG. We can paste that here and we can name this SVG. I don't know, colliding circles or something like that. Whatever you want to name that. You don't have to name that if you don't want to. But I typically just name my SVGs. And then we could have the text in the same content. We'll have the paragraph text, and that is multiple solutions. I don't like that. At the very least, be like that, please. And we want the text of this card to be black. So we can just come to the card base here and we can set the text color to be, I guess we can use a dark gray, like so. And then this UI content here, this will be in a row and on the left side like that. And this UI paragraph, we can set the text transform to be uppercase, or we can just actually just change the content to be all uppercase, the actual text. And we will also bolden this a little bit. Is that right? No, maybe that's right. There we go. You see that's what we have thus far. Now continuing here in the card base, I think we are now. Oh wait, I think I was supposed to have one more UI content here. Um, I'm a little bit lost on what these were doing again. I'll figure it out. We'll just continue. Simplifying your work with magic. So we can have, I think I need this. We can add a heading here. Now the headings would follow the same process I said for paragraphs. I would typically have a new component, UI underscore like H1. We'll get rid of the div here and we will add, oops, keep pressing Control I instead of just I, the H1, and then remove this. Actually, we can just wrap this in a slot like so. So now we can have a H1 component. So in here, I can add that H1 and I can pass it the text. And let's see here. To build this one, how would I do this? I'm thinking, I have a div. And then in this, I would say span or just text. And that's where I'd have simplify or simplify? Simplify. And then we can set our H1 text transform uppercase, and then set the is that it? Why is that changing in one place but not the other? Um, is it because I have this in the div? I change this like to inherit, inherit. There we go. Okay, I think it's supposed to have it in a div. Okay. So I can get your work, and this could be a span. Your work, and then lastly with magic, we can just duplicate that, and I can say in this one with magic. Okay, so I can see that these sizes here might not be right. I think this actually needs to be bigger. So in the div here, div 2, let's do 1.5. And then we also have more padding on this one. On our base here, what is the default padding? Is 1.5. We can try like a 2 point, oops. We can try like a 2.5. What is it actually? It's 4. On the right side again, it's more. What is 130, 16 to 8 in here and on like this? I think I put 8 here, and then the rest of these were 4. Oops. That can't be right. Do 7. And then -3% on the letter space. So we can go to our H1, and in here, I think letter spacing -3%. I should tighten them up a little bit. I'm not even sure if that made a difference, probably because it's I made it the way it is instead of just having like a regular text in there. Um, let's see. I do that with that. No. But continuing, I want to now try to add this coin here, and this is why I added this as a div the way I did. 'Cause I think now I can export this coin. Wanted to rename that. You guys can see this, right? Oh, damn, you can. That's awkward. Um, Let me just rename that the coin. I don't even know why I'm kind of scared for you to see what's in there. Like it's never anything bad, but for some reason I'm just like nervous. Like I only do work here. Like I don't know. Anyways, you can add an image, and then I can upload this to Nordcraft by going to media, pressing that coin, and then this coin is only like 64 in height. So I think then in media, I can do, I'll just do 128. Done. Then we'll go back to the image and we can paste that there. And that was like, I don't know what the actual things were, but it was 68 and like 64, something like that. 63 and 66. 63, 66. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Now I think I can make these go in a row and be in the center like that. Where the hell did a fly come from? Okay, cool. Now the spacing on these may actually be a little bit different. What is that actually? That is, what's the spacing for this? That's less than 3. Do like 2.75. So 2.75 rem. This out a little bit more. Yep. And then now I think I can just wrap this in a content. Yeah, because then now we can add these bottom parts down here. Now this has 106 pixels. That is 6.6 rem. So we can say that this right here would have 6.6 like that. And then just our button. We got content in there again. We say content. And then we have a button on one side. So I can do button base. Oh, not that one because this one doesn't have an arrow. Do button base and the text in there. Just copy. I see that I can't see that right now. And then I don't know what this is, but I think I could just copy this as a SVG. Yep, we can just copy as a SVG. And then in here, we're gonna have another content. Have that SVG. In extract that as component and SVG. I don't know, like clock, something like that. I just press back, and then the text for that is time is precious. Choose efficiency. So we can just add a paragraph in here. Oh, wrong one. Or component one, and add the text like so. Okay, now this is actually all uppercase. So again, we could just change the content to be uppercase. But I'm just gonna do a custom CSS text transform there. And then the max height or max width that we're doing for this one is 148. 148 divided by 16 is 9.25. So for this one, we can say a width of 9.25 rem. That might have to be increased a little bit. Yeah, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it 12. Then in this content, we're just going to set the row be in the center like that. And then this one, again, this content would be a row and in the center like that. Oh, wait a minute. Where am I? There we go. 11, like so. Yeah, I think that's right. Um, the button looks bigger in the design. I'm not sure, but let's figure out why the text is that color. Like, why is it? button base. And yeah, this should by default be white. Let me do a inspect just to see if the text is actually in there. And it looks like the text is in there. Yeah. So what is the color for this? It's on inherit. Inherit should be white. I'm confusion. But I guess all we have to do is on this button here says set the text to white like so. Yeah, there we go. Now we have that first box. Now we can add this second box, which looks like it really might just be an image, but I will grab the background color, second gray. I'm not sure if we have that one saved already. Um, is this the same? No, it was a primary. That's in the wrong spot. This was supposed to go in background. There we go. Okay. And really, I might just create this as an image. I'm not gonna be so detailed about it. Like I can see like these are different parts, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit and I'm just gonna create this as a PNG since it has rounded corners, so it needs to be transparent. And I'll just change the name to be what was this? How do I name this? I don't know. Do like hero image or something like that. I don't know what to name that. Uh Now we can come over here into Nordcraft and go to media and upload that hero image. And I think I'll just get the full size for this. So we'll just go like this and get, we can use this 721. All right. And so then in this base, I think I could just set an image like this and set this to be that image. And then all we'd have to do is just say to be 100%, 100%, and to be hover. And then this, I can remove the padding so that it touches the edges like so. I guess I could do contain, but contain, then it won't touch the edges, but I could do, yeah, you see, it won't cover the edges. I'm not sure which one I could, I'm not very knowledgeable with the scale stuff. So I'm just gonna do cover. And we'll be like, it's close enough. Oh God, wait. Uh, this has to have a overflow of, I guess I could just put it on the y-axis of hidden. Get rid of those edges there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. You could just also set it as a background image, I think. But there, we have two cards now. All right, what else we got? We got this next card here. So again, you already know what we're about to do. We're going to add another card base. And you're going to see it's going to be, it's going to follow the same size as top one. And we did have a color here. Now, typically, again, I would add these to the theme, but just to save time, so I think I'm only going to use this in this one spot. Yeah. So I would just set the background color here to whatever color that was, like that. Okay, so I can see now that we can probably split this in half like this. I'll draw it out for you guys because I'm sure you guys love seeing me draw out things now. The way I'm going to kind of break this down is that this one right here and this like this, that's going to be one content. And then in this just top section right here, that's going to be another content. And then I think we have one more content to hold all of this. This makes no damn sense. What the hell am I saying? But anyways, let's just try to build this. Okay, so in here, I'm going to have a content, and this will be for splitting them side by side. So I can already say that this one is going to be row, like so. Um, Get rid of that for now. Then what we could do, I'll just add the image in here for now. We'll say image. And instead of getting that one, I'm just going to just grab one off of Unsplash because I just don't want to keep uploading. So I'll just take this one and we'll put that like so. And the sizes for this, it is 224 divided by 16. That's going to be 14. So we can say that this is going to be 14 in height and width. That is a 1, 14. And then just set the object fit to be color like so. We have padding of 20. I'm just going to do 1 rem. Well, oh, that's wrong place. Radius 1 rem. Okay, then I will add the second content. Did I do this? Okay, no, this is actually supposed to be in here. And we can wrap this one, I think. Yeah. And then we can change the height of this to be 100%, but I think I can say, is it line items? Can I say stretch here? But it'll automatically take the height. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And then we could just set the flex here to 1 so that it just takes up whatever the remaining space is there. So now inside of there, we have another content for this sort of top part here. And I can see here, I'll have like a paragraph with text. That'll be 18 new updates. So I'll paste that in there like so. Uh, New updates. And then this can also be another content. So here again, I can do content and we can then set this one to be row and in the, is it at the center? No, space off the top. So top like that. And then now also do that, just paste them out automatically. Now we can grab this text here and this content. We'll add a paragraph and text and then paste that. I'm going to fix this again. And then we should be able to just copy this as a SVG and I will paste that here. And then I will extract it as SVG like charts, something like that. Then we can go back to where we were. And in this content, I can then again say this to be row. And in the center, it looks like. Then now we just have to set a max width on this. We can set that to be 183 divided by 16. That's going to be 11. So we can say max width for this be 11 rem. And we want it to align the text on the left side. Did I not save? 11 rem. There we go. And it's all uppercase as well. What we can do is both of these are all uppercase, and the content that holds both of them, I can just do text transform uppercase like that. There we go.
Stop hiding. You hiding forever. Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky. Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky.
I don't know if you all have seen it, but there's a damn fly in here that I'm trying to ignore, but I am severely overstimulated, and I don't know, but it's when the Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky, Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky, then I'm gonna catch that guy in this damn video. Anyways, that's what we were doing. Um, want to add more spacing between these. What is this? That is 24. So I'll just do 2 rem right there. Wait, we'll do 3 rem. I didn't mean to refresh that. I'm refreshing the wrong things. And then lastly, we have this text down here and add an H2. Now again, we're going to copy the same thing we did with the H1 is we're going to create it as a component, UI H2, and then I'm going to do a heading 2, and we can just wrap this in a slot. And I'm just going to go grab the CSS we have for the H1, even though now I'm looking at them, they're not really the same. But I'll paste that here. I'll go font weight, something like bold maybe. And then the pixel size for this is I'll do like 2.5 rem. 2.5 rem. All right, let's see what that looks like. Now in here in this content right here, I can do H2 with the text, and the text for that is that. I'm going to copy and paste that. And then we just want to space these in between, so I can just go like that. I just refreshed that again. I'm so sorry, guys. You know what? We might want to make this semi bold, whatever you want to call it. Go back to the home page, and yeah. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Lastly, it looks like we just have this last part right here to do. Let's see. How shall we do this now? Mm, 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 mm. So for this one, we're going to have the UI content to contain the whole thing and have the spacing here. And then this top part will be another UI content. And we'll just space that out like there. And there'll be another UI content in here. And we'll space that out like right there. And then, yeah. And then all of these actually will also be in a UI content. Everything is UI content right here, baby. All right. All right, let's see here. Um, what I'll do, I'll have, all right, yeah, let's do, let us do one more card base. Okay, and then we'll have content for the top and bottom in here, and then we'll have content, so on another content, and then one more content, and then this is going to be for this text here. I'm just gonna, oh, these are big. I'm just gonna copy this and I will do a paragraph with text and I'll do that. Was that not? Oh, that was 89. Okay. And then I'll get the styles from the H1 and I will put that on the paragraph there. And we can change the color here to be black. Yep. You know what, I might do bolder. Yeah, we'll do bolder. I'm not going for exact 1-to-1. Um, Now for this one's going to be a row, and in the center for it, and then we have this text here. We could have another paragraph with text. I'll close this so you can see what's up there or what's down there. And we'll paste that. And now I'm seeing that all the text, actually all the text in this card has to be black. So what we can do instead of having black here, we can go to the actual card base and we can say text black here, and I'll change all text to black. There we go. Okay, and then the max width for this one will be about like 3 rem. So we'll say width like 3. Am I wrong on that? We'll do that. Oh no, that was height. It was width here. I was looking at height. Sorry about that. Um, let's see here. Might be too big. This might be too big. What is it supposed to be? Supposed to be 4. I have it at 6. Oops. 4 rem. There we go. I just, Jesus. All right. Now we can get these two people. What I can do for this, I think I can do a UI content with images repeating and have a negative margin while the images have a white outline. Let's try that. Let's try that. Let's try that. So in this one, we're going to have another content and we're going to have a image. Let's go get something again off of Unsplash. Some more headshots. You know what? I'm grabbing this damn deer. We're gonna grab this flamingo too. Hey yo, it's Future J here. And I'm like, there ain't no damn way. This man just said flamingo. And I think further in the video, I just keep referring it as a flamingo. Listen, please. Cut me some slack. Cut me some slack. I wasn't all right. I was high. I was overstimulated. Everything everything was going on. Leave it be. Let it slide. Cool. We're doing animals. All right. I grab this deer, and what I can do here is I can have this be a variable, so then I can do like av avatar photos, something like that. And then in here, I can do an array. And then in here, just have the link to one and then the links to the other one, like so. Then now in images, let's first get the sizing right. So the sizes for these are 3 rem. So we'll do 3 rem by 3 rem. And we will do hover for the object to fit. And then the radius, we'll set to 100%. And then we'll have a border of that's 3. I don't know what 3 is 0 0.1875. So we'll set a border of 0.1875 rem of white. Then we can tell this image to repeat on avatar photos, and then we can set the source of it to item, and that should load both of our images like so. But now all we got to do is set this content to be in a row. What I can do here is I can say for one, oh, shoot, that's the wrong thing. Just want to make sure that this is 0. And then what I can do is that I can have a attribute or class on this, and we can say, I guess not first, or how would you, I would just do not first. I'm not sure what to name it. And how we can find this out is if index is not, oh, that's the wrong one. I want not equal to 0. So that means it'll do it for everyone but the first one. Then here in the classes, we could have this class, and then I can set the margin here to like -1 rem, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So now even if I go get another animal, I don't know what the hell oh, I don't know. Wait. I give you something funky. Give me a camel. Nah. What was that? Shoot, what was that shrimp? Was it a bullet shrimp? No, not, I want a minute. Bullet shrimp. No, what is that? This thing. This thing, the pistol shrimp. Mantis shrimp? What? Mantis shrimp. Is this the one that shoots really like has explosions? I'm not sure. But yeah, this funky looking dude, bro. We'll just grab this guy, whatever. All I gotta do here is just come to my avatar photos, and I can just add another link like that, and it should add another person. Oh God. Oh God. What happened here? Why are you like that? I'm gonna refresh. Okay. There we go. I have no clue why it was like that. But you can see there, now we have 3. So if we ever wanted to, we can just add more photos like that. I'm gonna actually leave it like that. I don't care. Um, so we wanted that to be the side of this one. So in this content, we're to say row, and in the center like so. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Hmm. Now what we can do for this bottom part, I can't even do that. I'm gonna have it be in a content. It would be very easy just to get these sort of like tag looking things, whatever you want to call them. But these icons, I'm not sure how I want to tackle this. Would be the best way to do that. I think I know of a way. I'm not sure if this is the best way. It probably isn't, but we're going to do it nonetheless. So let me make sure that our content here, we have one for the entire thing. I think it's this one, and set this width or this height to 1, or not width, height 100%. There we go. We can just tell this to be like that. Then do click start. Can I do stretch? There we go. Then I can add another content here. And then we can create another variable. I want to call this tags, I guess. And which is going to be just another array. And I'll just grab these. Grab that. We'll grab reporting tools. And then now for one like this, got to figure out this is a cube. So what I'll do is I'll set cube like that. And then next we have insights. So we have smart alert. So we have, what is this? Abstract is what it's named. I guess I could do abstract like that. And then we can have security. And then lastly, flexible interface. Oops. Okay. Now, for why I did that, what we should be able to do now is here in this content, we can get I think we could just use a paragraph. We should just be able to get a paragraph. We have some text inside of it, and then we can repeat this paragraph for tags like so. And the text in here, we're going to set it just to the item. Okay, so now what's the padding on these? I might have been able to use the card. I might be able to use the card here if I just did card base like that. And then we repeated this on the card base instead of the tags. Yeah, we kind of get there, but I could have dealt without it. The padding for this, we'll just do 1 rem for everything. So in the card here, we will do 1 rem, we'll do 1 rem. Max content for the width, so that only takes up the amount that, oh, I was gonna say that, max content, and then rem, 1 rem. Where'd I put that? Guess it didn't save. And then we could have this outline, which is probably just black, close to black, and it's at 20%. So we can go to the base here. We can go to border. That is 1 pixel. 1 pixel is 0.01165. That might not be right. Rem, solid black. Now we want this to be 0.2 for 20%. Then the radius, we might want to increase to, yeah, we can just leave it at 30 rem. It doesn't really matter as long as it's looks like above 4. So typically I just do 99 rem, something like that. Now, this content here, we can set this to be flex, and then we can set wrap to wrap, and then now you see that we get things wrapping. Now, the spacing for this is 12. I'll just have it at 1 rem. 1 rem. That's smaller here. That's 14. So this here we can say it's for just like something like that. No, they're all uppercase, right? Yep. So we will do text transform uppercase, and then you see they're all uppercase. Now these are huge. I'm not really sure why they're huge. I might take down the padding. I want to kind of get it closer to what it looks like there. It looks like 0.5, 0. Nah, let's keep this at like 1. Yeah. Then let's lower this to like 0.5. Yeah, something like that. I didn't save that. Gosh damn it. It's not saving for me. 0.5. There we go. Okay, so now what we can do is we can grab the SVG for this cube here. I'll just grab that SVG and I will paste that in the card base. We can extract that as a component as SVG cube. Okay, and then once we have that, we can then go ahead and grab this abstract. So we'll copy that as a SVG and we will go back to, shoot, wait, let me just first set this to 100% and 100%. It's not the same. So we'll do max width of, or a width of max content. There we go. Okay. Now back on the home page. Now you kind of see what I'm trying to do here is I want to, what I can do is I can do show and hide on this paragraph. Oh wait, this paragraph has the, no, the card has, yeah. Show and hide on this paragraph and we can set it if I could just say if item not equal and do an or here, and then I could have cube and abstract there. So as long as the item is not one of these, then it'll be true. So that should get rid of item not equal to, yeah, so this should be true. Oh, then I gotta show and hide this one. Wait, show and hide this one. And I guess if, no, I can do, or, no, if item equals, and this is only the cube one, right? It's a cube like that, yeah. Now this paragraph, why are you, I'm not sure. Okay, let me just retry. We want to show and hide this, and we want it to be an if and, or I guess I don't have to do an if. I could just do like not equal. Wait a minute. I can't do a not equal here. I can, since I have two of them. Since I have two of them. Yeah, I could do cube, but then abstract won't work. So damn, I guess. I feel like there's a better way for me to do that. I guess I could also, I could set this to be in a row. No, I can't do that. It has to be a formula, which then is like call this like icon tags or something like that, and that can be an array of cube and abstract. So then what I could do is in here, I can just delete this. We can do show and hide if item, sorry, if, where's our function here? If this includes item, wait, and then not. Yeah. That's what this to be in the center like so. Then lastly, I can then, did I get the SVG? Probably not. Let's go ahead and copy this as a SVG again. And then I can paste it here. Name this SVG abstract. And then again, 100%, 100%. It not the same. Max content. 100%. There we go. And then we should be able to just copy the same logic on the cube here, and then I could do that and do abstract. There we go. Again, I'm not really sure if that was the what the hell? What the hell? I don't know when I put max content on that, but again, I'm not sure if that's the best way to build that. And that's just the way I built it up. I'm sure there's a lot simpler ways, but I really try to think about like maintainability and why do I keep refreshing that? Okay, I just decided to not include this because I would literally just sit here for hours and try to get it perfect to mobile size. I am a little bit upset that I won't be showing you that, but I've been now recording for like 3 hours and I'm high and I'm overstimulated and I just want to be over with it. But let me know in the comments that if you do actually like these and would actually want to see like just the straight no cuts and literally just like it was a live stream. Might even actually live stream it. But if you would like that type of content, let me know in the description. It is appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all I gotta do now is just make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and let me know in the comments more of what you'd like to see more of. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you remember that I love and appreciate every single one of you. Also, remember to appreciate a loved one today because you never know. You never know. And that being said, until next time, happy building.